ArtSnackers, my name is James. Welcome back for another month of ArtSnacks Box Freestyle, where we take all the supplies in the October ArtSnacks Plus box, experiment with them to within an inch of their lives, and create an absolute masterpiece with the supplies. We're going to try to anyway. Okay, so in the interest of getting to continue to know each other, I'm just going to share with you one of my first jobs I ever had, paying gigs, was when I was a young boy and I was a Scrabble runner. And if you don't know what that is, people playing competitive Scrabble will sometimes challenge the word that the competitor puts on the table, and they put it on a little piece of paper. I would run up, grab the word, take it to the judge, bring it back and say, yes, you can use it, or no, you can't. I think I might have been about 9 or 10 years old. I got $10 for the entire day. I think I did it for a few years and then I was done. So what was your first job? I'd love to know. That's it for my fun fact. Let's get into the box, see what we've got in there, and then make something fun with it. Alrighty, here is the ArtSnacks Plus box for this month. Let's have a look at what's inside, and through the magic of editing, unwrap our little green burrito and see what's on the menu. So, first up to play with this month, we have the Winsor & Newton fine liner. I had a 0.1 size in my box and it was sepia colored. Or sepia. Sepia? Sepia. We also have the Sennelier ink brush, and I have the number 805, which is yellowish green. We have Plumchester paint markers. These ones are in the plus box. Black and white came in the plus box, and the pink was my regular color. So that's a 3 total if you've got the plus box. We also have the Royal Talons Indian ink, a nice black pigment ink there, a full little bottle of it as well. We have the Speedball Standard pen nib holder and number 512 nib, the ArtSnacks sticker, and also in the plus box we have the Bienfang Smooth Surface Bristol paper pad, a 9x12 size. There are 20 sheets and it's 210 GSM. There you go. So let's put that all aside and get to swatching. To start your experimentation, I recommend violently shaking your paint markers like a psycho and make sure all of that ink is thoroughly mixed up inside the barrel. It will just help flow better through the nib, and not only will you have a better experience using them, they will just be better for you in general. Like, they will last a bit longer. Paint markers are a bit notorious for being fickle art supply throughout history. Some work really well, some you never seem to be able to get started. There's just a lot. There's a lot to go into making a paint marker. These are a new product and an ArtSnacks exclusive, and I actually had a really good time with these, and I'm a pretty picky paint marker kind of gal, so it was good. I enjoyed using these paint markers today. I'd be interested to try a lot of the other colors, because with any formula with a paint marker, it can get a little tricky on some of the lighter colors, but I do enjoy what I used so far and found a really interesting happy little accident here when I went over the white. It kind of created this, I want to say resist, but I don't think that's the right term for it. It created this tone on tone technique where I almost had this invisible little doodle or writing, and then when I went over with the ink, it just appeared from underneath. Kind of like one of those old gimmicky, secret message art supplies. Do you remember those from the 90s? Like the color reveal? It was kind of like that, but just a happy accident. So that was one that I wanted to use afterwards, especially with this color. Now, I'm just going to say, I think this is a green, but I have a bad colorblind green-yellow thing going on, and this falls right in the middle of that spectrum. Also, the color I got is called yellowish green, so even that didn't help me try to relay what I think this color is to you on the video today. I'm gonna say I think it's yellow or green. It could be either, I don't know. So anyway, to me it looks glowing, so that's something that was really fun to see, the little kind of tone on tone underneath, because it kind of looked like a fluorescent rope light almost, or something just glowing. It looked very, I don't know, kind of like hazardous chemical. So it was really interesting to see that, and I wanted to put that in my final piece. I always grab my little spritz bottle and just wet some of the page just to try things on there. You can see I'm doing this little ink dip pen drawing there. I thought it was really cute. I do like a good ink bleed illustration. It's something that I think I've been relying on a little too heavily lately, so I'm not going to try and make all of that in this video, but it's always something fun to try, and especially with the dip pen, because that was a new little experience for me. I have fountain pens, but I don't think I've ever used a dip pen before, and it was interesting to be able to pick up anything I wanted. I imagine it would be really fun to mix up some of my metallic watercolors and to use my dip pen for that, or even possibly some kind of white and use really like a really fine white detail pen in eyes and stuff. So I'm really curious to use that again. I also didn't clean mine. I know it says to clean it straight away. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't clean mine straight away, but the Indian ink did kind of peel off it, and I even just used a paper towel and just rubbed it a little bit, and it kind of brought the nib back to life. So I'm just going to let you know that. I'm not going to recommend it because obviously it says to wash it with warm water, but I just want to let you know it didn't kill mine. I'm just very hazardous with art supplies. Like, I'm not careful, I'm not good, I don't treat them well, but hopefully that's a good indication of an art supply made robust. The next thing I started doing was drawing more little like doodles that I thought I might end up creating in the final piece, because I do like to create a final piece for these videos. I know a lot of Box Freestyle is about the experimentation, but ultimately I want to use the experimentation for something. If you're not going to, if you do follow along with these and you find that you've had a great playtime just with your experimenting, I'm also going to give you full permission, not that you need it, but just in case you do, just to be happy with that. I don't tend to think of the finished piece of work as being the ultimate goal for me. Whenever I sit down to create something, my goal is to enjoy it and to have fun. I may be doing it because it's relaxing for me, or I just need to turn my brain off, or I'm curious about something, or I just like the feeling of drawing on paper, or using an art supply, or the satisfaction of watching ink pool through a wet piece of paper. There are full genres of videos on social platforms about satisfying things, and to me, this process is satisfying. So I want to give you that permission to just call this your finished piece if that's what you feel like. If you need to frame your experimentation, everything looks better in a frame, and I'm a full supporter of it. So just for anyone that is following along with Box Freestyle, please don't think you have to make the final product. This whole process in and of itself is valuable, and if you've had a great time creating little doodles, because I will say sometimes there's a lot more charm to the original thumbnail of an idea than there is to the finished piece all cleaned up, run with that. I put a little red herring in there, thought you might see, possibly another green lady. No green lady this month. Close, I was almost going to do a green lady. You did tempt me with this beautiful Sennelier ink brush in yellowish green. Just lucky. I could have gotten away with it too. I could have said it was a yellow lady. Anyway, what I did end up coming up with is something that is much more of a reflection of what I would typically do with new art supplies. A few years ago, I was acquiring art supplies at a rapid rate, and I like to get to know them in a very tangible way, but for me, swatches just weren't cutting it. They kind of never have cut it for me. I like the look of a swatch sheet, little perfectly aligned squares all across the page. I think it's great to be able to see the colors and to get an initial feel for it, but as a mixed media artist, I think I needed just a bit more to be able to understand the product. I could see it, I could see that it would work, I could kind of get an easy read on the quality of it by swatching a little square, but I didn't know if it would work well with everything. Like, what if this ink hated this paint marker, or what if this pencil wouldn't go over this pen? I needed to know those things, and so I created this little, what I call a swatch doll. Just a little dolly. Honestly, it's nothing more advanced than a stick figure, but she was a little stylized. We have little holiday overlays as well. I say we, I have a YouTube channel. It's weird because I'm mixing two right now. I know this is an ArtSnacks video, but this is something I typically do on my own channel. These little swatch dolls. It's just to get to know the products, and I wanted to do one for you today, just so you could see something a little bit more honest about how I would swatch something. It in and of itself can become a finished piece, and so I didn't want to. I don't want you to think that you ever have to create something incredible or museum worthy. I think the process of art itself is fun and is supposed to be enjoyable, and even swatching just with a simple base you can create artwork incidentally. So this is kind of what I'm going to show you today. I'm also creating 3 of them side by side because I want to show you a bit of a variation and why I think that's important. But this is the finished look, and we'll get to thumbnailing and putting together our final idea. So I've put together 4 thumbnails for my swatch dolls today. I thought originally I might want to do just one in the middle of the page with a bit of a pumpkin patch and some skulls on some vines. I thought that might be cute, but as with thumbnailing, you go through your other options just to see what they look like on the page. I thought a few popping up from the bottom of the page would be a great way to not have to draw the bodies. Sometimes it's nice just to focus on one thing rather than all the other individual pieces, but I was up for a bit of a challenge today. The other one was the portrait where she's half in, half out, that little oval portrait you see there, and then this Spice Girls looking thumbnail with 5 of them all next to each other. What I ended up deciding was if I could create a template, then I could make variations on it. So I took the original swatch doll template. There is actually a tutorial for this on my YouTube channel if you would like to see that. It's a step-by-step, it'll break down how to create this swatch doll base, and the overlay is where I got to put all of our techniques. So I've got the ink splatter pumpkins, I've got my little skull that I liked from the original exercise, the little experimentation sheet. I like that little skull. I've got the vine that she's holding, green ink hair with that white highlight, so just leaving the negative space. I used the pipette from the ink bottle to sketch out the face, and the paint marker to put patterns on her body. And I also used the pen, the fine liner, for hatching. So there's a bunch of different things going on, and all I'm going to do is cut my paper into thirds and repeat this process 3 times. So here I've got the paper, I cut it 4 inches by 9 inches, so literally just into 3 sections. And now I'm going to approach this little swatch doll the same way every single time, except I'm changing something slightly. So can you see, these are all circle heads, but some are a little more circles, some are a little more flattened oval. The little triangle dresses, the first one is kind of a mid-length, the second one is a lot shorter, the third one is a lot longer. So it's exactly the same thing each time. The only things that's changing are the proportion and the placement. Or sometimes the number of certain things, like there might be more skulls on one than the other, but essentially they're all made up of the same key elements. We're just looking at the variation on that theme. The theme that I kind of went with, and it's no surprise to me because I'm doing my own personal projects at the moment that are very heavily inspired by Tim Burton. I've gone with these little Beetlejuice swatch dolls, and they're so cute. I've decided to call them my little Beetlejuice bebes, just to throw it back to Moira Rose there, one of my favorite comedians on television at the moment. If you've never seen that show, you have to see it. I don't want to say it because I think we'd have to censor it, but if you know the show I'm talking about, you know. So these are my Beetlejuice bebes, and I absolutely love it. You can see I've started with the techniques that we were looking at before. Some of them are simple. I'm just simply drawing that skull with that paint marker, just to use the paint marker, and also it's a very thick line, so the contrast between the line work and that particular skull is going to be a nice contrast there. It's going to stand out a lot. I'm using my pink to put lines across the dress and just to color in her sleeves and her triangle collar. I'm also using my ink brush to color in the hair, but I'm leaving a lot of jagged white space in the middle of each of these sections. This is so that it looks like highlights. Since I don't have, I could have used the white paint marker, but it's never quite as stark as if you just leave the paper open. So I leave a lot of that highlight space open so that it looks like her hair is really glossy and shiny and bright. I also do that with that little tuft that comes out the top. It's supposed to be her hair, but I do realize looking back on it, it looks like the skull's hair, and now the skull looks like a pineapple, so let's just either run with that or take my word for it. I've used hatching on the face, cross-hatching, to give her a bit of a skin tone since I didn't want to make another green lady this month. And the little ink splatter pumpkins there with the dip pen, put two little eyes in those pumpkins. They're really simple. Those are circles with brackets inside and 2 little dots. Can you even call it a drawing, or is it just text? It's like an O, a bracket, a full stop, and a full stop. So each of these pieces is going to get a variation on this. You can see I'm doing exactly the same thing. I've got my little pipette from that little bottle. I love the scratchy line that you get just before it dries. If you take a little ink brush, a little paintbrush and water, you can kind of smudge it out. Once it's dry, it's not going to move. This is pretty waterproof on this paper, and I haven't really tried it on any other paper, but sometimes I know the open time for other paper can be a little longer. But this one, yeah, I mean, if you can smudge it out quickly, then you can have some nice deep set dark eyes. And then I'm doing exactly the same thing, but the stripes, instead of going horizontal, are now going vertical. And because her proportions are all different, she has a completely different vibe and feeling. To me, she's a lot spookier and she's a lot cuter. So I love this process. I love to create variations. Some people think, you know, it's a bit much to be repeating the same thing over and over again. Can't you just see if you like it up front or not? For me, yeah, I can get a pretty good idea if I'm gonna like something, but sometimes if I do like 5 or 6 of them, the third one might be my favorite, and I won't know until I get to the third one. So I don't mind. I really like the process. I enjoy it. When you break everything down simply, it's stick figures and lines and, you know, drawing with a pipette. Like, it's nothing super technical. They're just individual little experimentations that happen alongside each other. And with something as simple as this base, you can tell that it's really not about being skilled at drawing anything at this point. As long as you've got the stick figure, all these little supplies will add to the charm and the character of the finished piece, because they're all going to play off each other. Even the colors you get will make something look different. To me, if she didn't have green hair, I don't think I would have seen Beetlejuice. But because she's got that bright green hair and she's got that pink dress, green or yellow hair, I really don't know. As I'm saying it, I'm looking at it, I'm like, is it green? Am I really saying this? It's green or yellow. It's yellowish green. It just looks like it's glowing. Those little balloons, those little pumpkins that happen just because I spilt some ink and I thought, oh, well, I've got the ink on the page, I might as well draw something with it. So I drew a little pumpkin. All of these happy accidents, put them all together and put them on a really simple base. See what happens. Your experimentation might lead you to draw a different pattern on her dress, or to try a different technique on the hair or the face. And I think all of that is totally valuable. I even used the little mottled, speckled, dotted technique, little texture on the bottom to show the ground that she's standing on. So overall, I'm going to say this was a completely successful 3 little pieces from me, and I'm really happy to have shared my swatch doll process with you today. I will join you for the end of the video in a second. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Please do share it, and yeah, I'll see you in a second. There we go, that is everything for October ArtSnacks Box Freestyle 2020. I hope you had a good time watching these Beetlejuice bebes come to life. If you want to go and check out a step-by-step process tutorial, I have one on my YouTube channel, so don't forget to hit that up if you're looking to make something equally as ooky kooky spooky with your ArtSnacks box this month. If you're thinking about joining ArtSnacks, you can use the code JAMES10 for 10% off at checkout. And also, please don't forget to share your work with us on social media with the hashtag ArtSnacks Challenge, and also in the mix. I will see you again next month. Have a wonderful and safe, happy Halloween. Until then, bye.